This is the Business Owners IT Podcast with Anthony Gerasch and Ryan Carter, where tomorrow's technology meets today's conversations.
Hi, I'm Tony Gerasch.
And I'm Ryan Carter, and this is the Business Owners IT Podcast.
A podcast where we discuss tips, tricks, and solutions for business owners involving all things tech.
And as we continue our series on CIS Controls, we're going to do CIS Control 14, Security Awareness and Skills Training. This one is to establish and maintain a security awareness program to influence behavior among the workforce, to be security conscious and properly skilled to reduce cybersecurity risks to the enterprise. And to you business owners, for the second time, I'm going to wag my finger because some of you guys do sign up for the training, but you don't keep doing it on a continual basis. You have to keep doing this training. It is not just a one-time deal. It's something every year that you need to go through with your staff, your new staff. Everybody just needs to continually do this. And I kind of lost my train of thought. No big deal. I'm just going to pass this on to Tony.
Yeah. So the biggest thing is, right, even in the CIS controls, and then if you have any cybersecurity insurance type applications, they always want you to have cybersecurity training and testing, right? And everybody wants it, right? But, you know, nobody wants to enforce it. So if you're really going to do cybersecurity training, right, it needs to be continuous, in my opinion, and it needs to have a buy-in from management, HR, from the top that comes down and says, you got to do this. You know, I'm paying you. I'm asking you to do this. You have 7 or 15 minutes to be able to do this. You're not that busy.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at too. Is some of our key business owners are kind of ghosting us when we're asking to reset up the training. Let's do this. Yeah. Let's continue this going. And then just the other day, I was filling out a cybersecurity questionnaire for one, and I had to mark that as no. You have it, but you're not doing it. So I had to mark it as no, and I just told them that's how it's going to be. Absolutely.
And then the other thing is that even us, I mean, in our company, we're consultants, we're tech people. I'm doing the cybersecurity. I got a question wrong. I'm not going to tell you. Probably because I wasn't paying attention, right? I said, I'll just look at this and answer the question at the end. But I got a question wrong. So now the second time and third time, I'm not getting them wrong. And I'm paying a little bit more closer attention.
Yep. And I've got one due now. I just got the notification, right. I think yesterday, saying, hey, you're not doing this.
Yep. Me too.
So I'll do it.
So we're going to focus on the key aspects of this control, right? So the key aspects is, you have to have a training program, right, that provides security awareness training to all your employees. You have to, and it should also be role specific. So the people in the accounting department may need a little bit more tailored cybersecurity training than the people, the secretaries or the, administrative assistants or the receptionists. The people in the shipping department, right? They may need stuff around shipping, right? And around that type of stuff, like around shipping and receiving, right? That we see, you'll see a lot of FedEx and UPS type of phishing emails, right? So they may need some specific roles. So that's what we're talking about there. Simulated attacks, right? You gotta basically fake fish people. Policy and education, right? So if you have all these CIS policies, right, and you have all these controls, you have to educate the employees and the people around these policies and procedures and the acceptable use of data and incident requirements and incident reporting, and testing and assessments, right? So you have to, one of the things is you have to fake fish people. You have to test. You have to see if they're paying attention, if they're just not clicking on anything, right? Continuous updates, right? The same thing. So we need cybersecurity awareness training to be current, provided, right? It's useless to have cybersecurity training around Windows XP. It's an old system, right? So it has to be current. It has to be something that's being updated, something that's regular. Security champions. You got to have an HR guy.
Yeah.
And then you have to have incident reporting and feedback. So meaning that, employees should be trained to identify an incident and give some feedback. So I don't know. I kind of went through those quick, right? So we can kind of go back through. I said a lot of stuff, but
that's fine. One point I do want to put out is out of a lot of the controls that are part of CIS, this is the one that pays for itself.
Right.
The number one attack vector for your company is your people.
Yeah.
Social engineering is the easiest way to get in, and most any attacker, that's the first thing they're going to do if they want to get in your company is social engineer them. So if your people are trained up, I mean, you're definitely going to reduce that possibility of attack, and you're just going to build before, a lot of attackers, what they're going to do is if they want to attack the CEO of the company, like say someone wants to go after Tony, they're going to go after the low-hanging fruit and get in their email first and see how Tony communicates with his team before they start running their attack. And that's how they build that profile of the company, is by going after, the employees. So that's why this training is very important.
Yeah, and I mean the employees need to also recognize when something happened, when something, let's say that they did get sucked into a real phishing email and they put in their credentials and they put in their 2FA, but something just didn't seem right. They need to contact the IT department. They need to contact, they need to have an open conversation with who's ever doing the IT.
Yeah.
Let us know, hey, I think I did something. Can you look into it? It's especially important if you don't have anything in place to catch that type of stuff. So, I mean, that's we talked a little bit about security champions, your HR people, you're from the top down. Hey, we need to do this. There's no excuse.
If you don't have a buy-in from the executives, the people aren't going to do the work. It's just that simple. Yeah. And another piece that you talked about too is that policy education.
Yeah.
We're going through all these CIS policies. You have policies now. You're going to have written policies. You're going to have all this great stuff. But if your people don't know about what you're trying to do as a company and what those policies are, then it's going to be tough. And another time we had talked about like the policy education of what do you do if you did click on that email? Are you creating that environment where the CEO is going to get mad at you or going to be like, okay, that happened. Let's see what we can do to move forward,
Right. So, yeah, I mean, in educating, the education part of it is very important. What your policies are. You have to have an open environment today. Not everybody's perfect. And I'll be honest with you, we see a lot of the top brass making more mistakes than the lower people.
Yeah, well, they're also the ones that say, I don't need MFA. I don't need this. I don't need to do that. I don't need the training, this and that. And then they're the ones clicking on the emails.
Right. They're the ones that are calling us at, 11 o'clock at night saying, man, I think I really screwed up. So, So you need to, the biggest thing is, business email compromise and phishing is the largest attack vector at this point. And that's the first step, right? Once I have you click on a link or click on something like that, then either I'm in your Microsoft 365 or I released, I downloaded and released some malware or something on your computer. And then from that point is where everything goes downhill.
Yep. They start getting in the computer, and then they can start scanning the network, and then all the other controls start falling apart.
Yep.
Go ahead, Tony.
Got something else? I was just going to wrap it up.
No, I was just going to throw in my tip of the week.
Oh, yeah, tip of the week. Go ahead.
And it goes back to what I had said before about the control paying for itself, is that, don't let your employees be that low-hanging fruit. Educate them on your policies. You have that security awareness training, and don't let that easiest attack vector be there for the attackers, and it's going to shore up your company very well in the cybersecurity world. So.
Yeah, and I guess I can add to that, right? Anything they learn here also applies to them at home. It applies to their personal self. It applies to their banking. It applies to paying their mortgage, their bills. It applies to their email. It applies to their pictures. I mean, all this training is not just for the company. It's also for them personally. And if they should look at it that way, what I'm learning here can also be used at home.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of the stuff we're learning here could be used at home or in other areas. So. Yep.
All right, so to wrap it up, the objective is to build a culture of cybersecurity awareness to ensure employees are prepared to recognize, mitigate risk, reducing organization overall exposure to human-centric threats. So I kind of read that, but basically, to sum it up, right, what you're trying to do is educate your people, make them feel comfortable telling you that they did something, and in helping them protect your data.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. Good.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to the Business Owners IT Podcast, and we hope to see you next week.
Yeah, see you next week where we talk about CIS Control 15, Service Provider Management. Do you know who your service providers are?
Unique computing solutions. Your IT challenges solved.